Well, Adam Reynolds, we know, is preparing to begin a new career as a Brisbane Bronco, and under a weird prisoner exchange, Anthony Milford could be trying to revive his career at Redfern. Reedy, what stipulations have South Sydney given Anthony Milford?
Well, basically all South has said to Anthony Milford in his camp is make a decision what you want to do. If it's about money, then, you know, we're not the club for you. But if it's about reviving your career, if it's about turning your career around, there's not many clubs better than us. So Anthony Milford and his camp have to make a decision in their own head. What's more important right now? Is it about, you know, safeguarding how much money he earns, or is it about going to a club that can make you a better player and help you find that magic that you once had? I mean, he's obviously got interest elsewhere, but I spoke to the Broncos today. I don't think there's anything immediate on the table for him to move before August 2 at this stage. But South has certainly, look, they haven't put an offer in front of him yet. They've just said to him, get in your own mind, work out what you want to do, then come back to us and tell us, and, you know, we'll talk to you.
I spoke to South last week, and because it was around last week that Milford might be heading there, and I said, is that how likely? And they said, no, our priority is keeping Gagai. But he's now gone, so that has opened up some money in the cap to get Milford. The interesting part, though, is whether Jason Demetrio, who worked with Bennett, underneath Bennett when he was at the Broncos with Milford, and he's the one, I believe, who's confident that if Milford does end up at South Sydney, he can get him back to playing his best football. But to Reed's point, he's got to go there for the right reasons. And it's a big decision for Anthony Milford because South won't offer him top dollar. No. And there'll be money more than likely from the Super League where he says he doesn't want to go. That'll be much better than the NRL money. But he's just got to sit there and say, well, OK, what am I going to do? And figure out how many years he's got left and how he's got to get the most out of that, and whether it's a football decision or a monetary decision. I
think Anthony Milford's got to get out of Brisbane. He needs to be uncomfortable. He needs to be stretched to get his game back to the level it was in 2015. And, yeah, whatever club that is, the thing about South Sydney is where does he play? It doesn't really matter for Anthony. I think he just needs to, put that mouthguard in and fire up and get stuck into it, because essentially he could play off the bench and have to make, 20-odd tackles a game through the middle third like Benji Marshall's doing at the moment. So he just needs to take himself out of that comfort zone and find it, because it's inside him.
Has he? Do you think it's inside him, though?
He's played enough good football to be there. Has he passed it? That's the biggest question. That's why I think he has to get out of Brisbane. Just completely remove himself from it. Take yourself to a space where you're not really sure about it and see if you can, sink or swim.
It is the halves guru in his camp.
Yeah, I know.
You're too seriously. Get out of here.
Matty John's out of the job.
It is a heck of a lifeline for Anthony Milford, who's had nothing but criticism for years. He's gone backwards in many ways since 2015.
Vonnie, it has been justified, the criticism.
I know.
He came through as one of those kids that everybody sat back and said, what about this kid, and how are we going to be talking about him in 10 years' time? And he went to Brisbane, and even though everybody points back how he nearly got man of the match to the Clive Churchill in that grand final, it still wasn't a stellar year for him. And he didn't have a stellar year before that. He had a reasonable year. The grand final year, he had a reasonable year. But what he can give a lot more than that. And he's never got anywhere close to fulfilling his potential. And that's the great cliche in sport, is unfulfilled potential.
And he's the poster child for that, unfortunately.
Right now he is. And that's why I like what Coops was saying about get out of your comfort zone and just go and just put yourself in a situation where you know the only option you have is hard work. And that's going to get the best out of him. And he's got the talent then to flourish beyond that. But if he doesn't put the hard work in, it's all just wasted air again.
And you're right, Kenny, it's not completely foreign to him, because Jason Demetrio coached him in Brisbane, so he knows him. So he's not going somewhere where the coach doesn't know necessarily how to prod him and probe him to get the best out of him. He's going to someone who knows potentially what's going wrong with Anthony Milford.
And I think he's one of those players who loves just someone putting an arm around him. And just saying, look, mate, you know what, you're my guy, and filling full of confidence, but at the same time, you've got to keep a tough eye. Like, I had a bit of a setback on this show a couple of years back when I brought up how in the gym he wasn't training hard, and when Benji was there as his training partner in Brisbane, and 3 sets of 10 on the bench press, he'd do 6 or 7, and he'd rack it up and he'd get off, and Benji was like, what's this?
I think when Anthony was at his best, he had Kevy and he had Alfie, and they had their fingerprints all over Milford and Hunt, especially through that 2015
He's got to be pushed.
season. And we just haven't seen that electrifying play or that willingness from Anthony Milford since. So hopefully it is a fresh start at Redfern. It'd be great to see.
Well, if all else fails, Vonnie, Coops is down the road.
Oh, no, exactly. Jeez, we've set you up.
I'll be in trouble again, mate. I'll end up on this desk having an argument with you again.
Photo of the South
Oh, no.